Welcome to this episode of the Harpreet Singh Show. I'm your host Harpreet Singh from Surrey, British Columbia, Canada, and today is the second Tuesday of the month. And as you eagerly await for this day, because today I have my co-host Dr. Arun Garg from Canada Indian Network Society. So he gets on board a special guest who he always introduces. And today, with great pleasure, I would like to welcome Dr. Arun Garg and Ritika Kalra, who is a what I don't know because Dr. Garg is going to introduce her. So let's get over to her and him and continue with the discussion. Dr. Garg and Ritika ji, good evening. Welcome to the program.
Good evening, and so nice to be with you and Ritika ji. It's a special day today.
Absolutely. And especially with June 19th and 20th coming near when CINI is having its annual conference, so about which we'll be talking in details in this program. So definitely it's a special day. So Dr. Garg, over to you if you could introduce Ritika ji.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I'd like to welcome Ritika ji, Ritika Kalra, who is a practitioner trained in India in naturopathy, has done research in Mysore Nutritional Institute on nutrition, and currently in Vancouver, Langley area as a practitioner of naturopathy, and especially connecting with the community on integrative care. This is in keeping with our interest in integrative care, so it's a pleasure to welcome Ritika ji to the show and share some of her work on
Absolutely.
the show.
Thank you very much, Dr. Garg. So over to you, Dr. Ritika from India, and now who is, you have this 5 year of knowledge from this prestigious university about Ayurveda and other sciences. So, Ritika ji, if you could tell us that, there are so many pathies right now in the market and a lot of research is being done, but still diseases are on the rise. Why do you feel that is happening?
Well, I would say, Harpreet ji, especially in times that we live in today, it's so easy to get help. It's so easy to approach health, right from social media to Google to something at your fingertips of reaching your family doctor. We are privileged that we can get help. Uh, how is it different from other pathies? I would say the modern science has played its role in terms of acute diseases and helping us in emergencies, like we've seen in COVID-19 and helping us with vaccines. So I would say modern science has a very symptomatic relief for us in helping us get more reactive care. So that I think it's one dimensional. When it comes to Chinese medicine, it's two dimensional. It considers yin yang Chinese meridians apart from just treating your symptoms, whereas the Eastern philosophy, the naturopathy, the Ayurveda, the yoga, I would say is three dimensional. It considers not only just the physical body, but also your emotional, your mental well being. And like we all know, the WHO defines health not as just physical, but also mental, spiritual, social, and emotional. And that I think covers up holistically in this approach through integrative sciences, which I think under Dr. Arun Garg's guidance, we can take it forth to our Canadians here.
Absolutely, and that is what being done by Dr. Garg through CINI. So, जो आपने 5 साल का कोर्स किया आयुर्वेदा के ऊपर, आयुर्वेदा एक एंशियंट साइंस है और आम तौर के ऊपर हम सिर्फ यही समझते हैं कि आयुर्वेदा जड़ी बूटियां जो हैं उसका इस्तेमाल करके हम प्रयोग करते हैं और इलाज करते हैं. थोड़ा सा हमें डिफाइन करेंगे थोड़ा सा इन डिटेल्स एज टू आयुर्वेदा में व्हाट डज इट इनकम्पास.
For sure. Ayurveda, like I said, goes beyond the physical body और इसका approach आता है mostly also towards your mental and emotional well-being. हम इसको वाता पित्ता कफा के दोष में मानते हैं और उस तरह उसके प्रकृति के हिसाब से हम ट्रीट करते हैं. So आपकी प्रकृति वो है जो आप जिस तरह से born होते हैं, the genetics that you carry and the environmental effect that it creates, it's your imbalance, या उसे हम विकृति कहते हैं. और उस दोषा के इम्बैलेंस को हम कैसे फाइंड आउट करें और किस प्रक्रिया से हम विथ योर नेचुरल फूड्स, जड़ी बूटियां, योर हर्ब्स आर इन वन कंडीशन, बट आयुर्वेदा और नेचुरोपैथी ट्रीट्स होलिस्टिकली, जिस तरह से हम उसको खान पान से विथ फूड एज योर मेडिसिन Also considering supplements because I have a modern nutrition, so I kind of blend ancient wisdom of Ayurveda, naturopathy along with modern sciences. And then sleep and stress, again very equally important, which none of the other pathies consider. So you, if you have a lung issue, they will tell you go to a respiration consultant. If you have a sleep issue, you go to a sleep consultant. But here we consider the whole body as one, and that's how Ayurveda or the science of this naturopathy is so very different.
And that's where, as you said, the integrative approach is important, and that is what Dr. Arun Garg you have been espousing for a long time. And along with, as Dr. Garg, what Ritika said was a holistic approach, and that is what we are seeing, that everybody wants that kind of approach. All pathies are great, whichever pathy anybody is taking, and especially this program which we organize is basically, we always say, please consult your family physician. Whatever we talk is in addition to what your doctor will be telling you. So, Dr. Garg, on this journey of integrative medicine and integrative approach, what would you like to add to what Ritika has said?
Well, I think, thank you very much, Ritika ji, for that introduction. One other thing I should have mentioned is that Ritika ji has also done research in this at S. Vyasa, the Swami Vivekananda University, of whose chancellor is Dr. Nagendra. And he coined the term about 30 years ago that this whole thing is the fusion of best of East and best of West. So I
Right.
think we want to make sure that our listeners and viewers, bilkul, they understand we are not talking about one or the other. 'Cause there is a huge debate of polarization. That's not what we are talking about. What we're talking about is best of East and best of West based on modern industrial reductive science and yoga, Ayurveda, and Vedic science. And that's the beauty of this conversation. And as
Right.
you rightly pointed out, and I just want to reaffirm that we are not giving medical advice through this show. This is really is a conversation about lowering, uh, uh, building a better, healthy society
Very true.
through self-management and self-realization. And that is one of the key ingredients of yogic science is understanding yourself. And to go a little deeper, it starts with the elements. So the five elements of which we all are made, and as a biochemist with a doctorate, I can say that at the end, all of it is related to those five elements and the elements of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen. That's what we are made of. And yogic science brings it all together in identifying the individuality of the person through those elements. And they describe those as doshas. So
Right.
the kapha, pitta, vata, dosha, the properties. And I think what I'm finding is that we could add value to chronic diseases in community living if we incorporate some of those principles, especially for people who have heritage in that, because you have to have a belief system that, yeah, this is what I want, because most of this is not for uh, disbeliever. You have to have some sort of interest that this is where I want to go. So what we're really saying is that in addition to industrial reductive medicine, which is second to none, I'm a practitioner for 40 years for acute care. So when you have acute episodes, the understanding of the physical body becomes very important, and that's where that act. But as COVID shows, the anxiety, the loneliness, how you feel about is also very important part of your being,
Right.
and that sometimes get missed. So what we're really very specifically saying is that we should build capacity in our system that component of integrative care is incorporated, where person takes a greater interest in their own health, they become more engaged in their own health and understand the role of body, mind, and intellect. And this is where yoga science and the Vedic science comes together. and that whole philosophy based on 5 elements through which individual description of the vatas, pittas, and doshas properties, and then application. And that's what some of the practitioners who are trained in Ayurveda and naturopathy bring to the table in that expertise. So what we're talking about is multidisciplinary, broader approach to health, and health is a sum of physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial. Right now, for example, with the stock market going like a belly up and up, there's so much anxiety, and
Right.
all that creates health. And that's what we're talking about, is
Very true.
that integration of the thinking. That's why I coined the word integrative thinking.
That's very true, Dr. Garg. This multidisciplinary approach and the self management concept is percolating down. And thanks to organizations like yours who are taking keen interest, and in Canada and elsewhere, people are now coming up to this point that yes, we need to become masters of our own health. It's time for a short break. We'll go for a break and we'll be shortly back, Dr. Garg and Ritika ji, and we'll continue with the discussion and learn more from you. And the second segment, I would like to talk a little bit about nutrition because what we eat makes us what we are. But today, what we are consuming, and especially in the Western world, that is having a great impact on our health. So, Ritika ji, after the break, we'll talk in details about what kind of nutrition is required to remain healthy.
ਹਰ ਰੰਗ ਹੈ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋ, ਹਰ ਮਾਡਲ, ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਦੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਵੱਖਰੀ ਪਹਿਚਾਣ। ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਹਾਂ, ਸਾਡਾ ਕਰਮ ਹੈ ਅੱਗੇ ਵਧਾਉਣਾ, ਸਫ਼ਰ ਨੂੰ ਸੌਖਾ ਬਣਾਉਣਾ। ਬਸੰਤ ਮੋਟਰਸ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕਰਕੇ।
है जुल्म ढाने का अंदाज भी कितना हंसी, हमारी जान पर बनाई है जब जब उसने अंगड़ाई ली। कभी खामोश रहते हैं, कभी शोर होता है। मोहब्बत में शरारत का मजा कुछ और होता है। दिल को जज्बात का तोहफा, खामोशियों को बात का तोहफा, खूबसूरती में जड़ी नजाकत अदाओं की चांद से मुखड़े को चांद सा तोहफा।
भारत ज्वेलर्स, सच्चे प्यार की चमक जैसा। 5 बिजनेस सेंटर सरी।
ਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਰੀ, ਡੈਲਟਾ, ਰਿਚਮੰਡ, ਐਬਸਫੋਰਡ ਜਾਂ ਵੈਂਕੂਵਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਵਾਂ ਘਰ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਬਾਰੇ ਸੋਚ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਰੈਨੋਵੇਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ? ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ ਇੱਕ ਤਜਰਬੇਕਾਰ ਬਿਲਡਰ, ਇੱਕ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟਿਵ ਇੰਟੀਰੀਅਰ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨਰ ਦੀ ਜੋ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਹੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਗਾਈਡ ਕਰ ਸਕਣ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸੁਪਨੇ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਉਸਾਰ ਸਕਣ। ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਜਾਂ ਸੰਦੀਪ 6048259295 ਉੱਤੇ।
Once again, welcome back to the program. My guests today are Dr. Arun Garg and Ritika Kalra ji, and we are talking about the concept of integrative thinking and integrative medicine. Why this concept is becoming more and more popular is the reason that people want to take care of their own health, and message is being percolated down at the ground level also. So let's get back to both our guests and continue with the discussion. And Ritika ji, as before the break I was asking, nutrition plays a very important role, and you also have done research on nutrition. So can you take us on this journey as to what you are observing in Canada while we are staying over here? What are we lacking in and what we need to work on?
Surely, I think nutrition is one of the most important aspects of one's health. All of us minimum eat at least 3 meals, if not 5 or 6 or sometimes even 8, but at least 3 meals. And that's the importance of how food can have an impact on your, not only just the physical, but also the mental and emotional, just like how Dr. Garg said, how these are so multidisciplinary and affect each other. So what I've observed here in Canada is basically 3 things that are across the world, globally, in fact. Deviations from our health is basically because, one, I think, is overuse of our senses. The senses being either with our taste. Sometimes if we like something, we overeat it, or we eat at the wrong time and the wrong portion sizes, not knowing each of these foods has a very big impact on our health. Or even the sight, seeing scary movies, seeing horror movies, seeing movies that we are not supposed to see, or exposing our senses to not so good scenarios in the environment. So I think it's overuse of senses and underusing the power of exercising or physical movement, which is causing this disruption. And the second thing I think is because, which of course has become the lifestyle of today, is the fast-paced life. Something that we cannot avoid. with the fast paced culture we have, not only has a lifestyle become, the work culture has become fast, even as food has become fast food, even our thinking is supposed to be fast, everything is go go go,
Yeah.
right? So it's this in turn is inducing stress, self stress in our own bodies. We've forgotten the importance of a good 45-minute of winding down routine, or the good importance of evening routine, a morning routine, and meditation, for example, or doing something. People are finding yoga as slow, but they forget that the beauty is enjoying the slowness in the life. And from food perspective, again, coming to fast food, the food culture or the convenient foods, we all understand in the Western culture, it's more about convenience. Eating leftover foods or frozen foods is one of the main culprits, which of course, to an extent, which can be avoided. Eating more holistic and wholesome fruits, vegetables, or seasonal. Again, coming to Canada, one of the things that I've seen is nothing is seasonal. Everything you get around the clock, around the calendar. So eating food as per the seasons is very important. Going into your nearest farmers market is important, so that to source one of the most freshest ingredients and which is locally produced. And as simple as I think drinking water. All of us forget to drink water.
Right.
So
These are simple things. And Dr. Garg, here comes your point of kab khate ho, kitna khate ho. And that is what needs, that message needs to be just grabbed and kept in mind, that always need to we keep these things in mind while we are consuming whatever we are.
Yeah, I would just add in terms of the importance of food, um, uh, one doesn't realize, and as someone, जैसे मैंने ये interest लिया है, तो उसकी वजह से देखता हूँ the amount of thought and time we spend around eating is very significant, and that plays a huge role in our overall well-being. Uh, in some homes, a whole day is spent in preparing the food and in planning the food and eating it. I think what we are saying is quite clearly that food is important in terms of creating health for yourself. So, prevention and health promotion are the key ingredients. Once the disease set in, then it's totally different structure. So, and I think the key points about food, beside what you eat, and we could talk about that more, but biggest part, and I think this is the beauty I find in Ayurvedic literature as well as in yogic literature, the type of food or when you eat and how much you eat and how you eat are as critical as what you eat. We put a lot of emphasis on what you eat, but that is of secondary importance. How much you eat is most important. And most of the people in modern life, unless you are doing some major physical work, the total calorie requirements are much fewer than what you really consuming. An average South Asian diet is very rich in calories because we eat so much. So I would say if there is one message for today's, and I would be interested what Ritika ji has to say through her practice, the portion size is very important. And our people could eat up to as much as 3,000 calories of food a day, 3 times, whereas their basic requirement might be only 1,200 or 1,400 calories. So there is a huge gap, and that leads into awareness. And day in, day out, that sets the motion of instigation of chronic diseases. So I think to avoid that, to prevent illness, and most important, to promote health in the wholesome way of body, mind, and intellect, I think food becomes very important. And before I pass on to you and Ritikaji, one thing I do want to emphasize is that yogic literature really relates this to 5 elements. And 5 elements then creates Prakriti through these senses. And they go into 20 different variables of those senses, of which we talk about taste and eyesight and smell. So this all comes together. And that's what food is all about too. So when you eat the food, so how you eat becomes important, how it satisfies not only your taste, but all your senses. And without realizing, that's what we are doing. And I think what we are saying is pay attention to it, eat in timefulness, eat mindfulness, and be aware of what you're eating and not just gulp. And I think as to the fast food and the frozen food, that is very interesting. But at the same time, one also lives in a real world, and the needs of the day and the industrialization of the society has changed the need. So I am a little more kind to that than some other practitioners might be. I think if we just cut down on proper timing of eating and cut down on added sugar, we go long ways,
Right.
long ways. And I think that message we cannot say enough times. And I will be interested what Ritika ji has to say on that.
Absolutely. Yes, Ritika ji.
I completely understand and agree with Dr. Garg. His emphasis on portion sizes and not just focusing on what you eat, but also how much and when you eat. Like in our naturopathy, they say the Panch Tattva theory, which is eating at the right time, at the right place, at the right quantity, drinking at least 8 to 10 glasses of water, prayer once or twice a day, and which is your meditation basically, and of course sleep 8 hours a day. So all of this holistically gives us the importance of health and overall well-being. और जब तक कि आई बात खाने की, like Dr. Garg rightly said, one of the main culprit is sugars, and especially our Indian diet can get very very high in terms of calories, जो हमारे work style से match नहीं करती. Neither of us are like working so hard, like physical hard work, जिसके लिए हमें इतना खाने की, डाइजेस्ट करने की या पचाने की शक्ति है. So हमें वही खाना है जो हमारी बॉडी को जरूरत है. Like I said, not overusing the senses, be it the taste or the eyes or even other senses. Having in moderation really helps. हम जिस तरह हमारी प्रकृति होती है उसी तरह हमारी रिक्वायरमेंट्स होती है बॉडी की, एंड हर एक की मेल फीमेल अलग होता है. ग्रोइंग अप एंड समबडी हु इज इन एथलेटिक्स उसकी अलग होती है. सो यू कैन नॉट इवन कंपेयर कि हम सब खाना सब सेम चाहिए हम सबको, राइट? एंड योगा फिलोसफी से बहुत अच्छे से रिलेटेड है. इन टर्म्स ऑफ योगा फिलोसफी दे से एज सत्व, रजस एंड तमस. The more sattvic the food is, which is less spicy, holistic in nature, healthy, wholesome, colorful, and as fresh as possible, वही प्रकृति आपके सत्व प्रकृति आपकी बिहेवियर में दिखती है, आपके पर्सनालिटी में दिखती है. And the more stale, spicy, oily the food is, we feel more lethargic. That is very synonymous to tamasic nature. And the more rich the food is in terms of nuts and seeds and healthy food, or even excessive oily, if I can say excessive fat, that is rajasic. So you become more aggressive in nature, just like a raja, right? You become more dominant in nature. So all of these qualities of food reflect on one's personality when it comes to how the modern science of nutrition gets integrated with the yoga philosophy and then gives you the approach of holistic health.
एब्सोल्युटली. और जैसे आपने बात की कि हमारे 5 पिलर्स जो हेल्थ के हैं उसके अंदर सोना, खाना और उसके साथ पानी पीना, पर साथ में अगर पॉजिटिव एटीट्यूड हमारा रहे हर चीज़ के प्रति, जो नेगेटिव अप्रोच है उसको हम छोड़ दें और अपनी स्ट्रेस को संभालना शुरू कर दें, तो डेफिनेटली हमारी सेहत जो है वो बहुत बेहतर हो जाएगी. समय जी एक छोटी सी ब्रेक का. लेट्स गो फॉर अ शॉर्ट ब्रेक एंड इन द लास्ट सेगमेंट वील लर्न मोर अबाउट डॉक्टर रितिका एज टू व्हाट यू आर टेलिंग अस अबाउट integrative approach towards health. But along with that, the CINI conference is happening from the 19th to 20th of June. So we will go for a break, and after that we'll learn more from Dr. Garg as to what all is going to happen in this special conference. So we'll be shortly back.
ਘਰ ਇੱਕ ਐਸੀ ਥਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਹਰ ਕੋਈ ਆਪਣੀ ਨਿੱਜੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੇ ਸੁਨਹਿਰੀ ਪਲ ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖਦਾ ਹੈ. ਉਹ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਉਹ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰਿਆ ਜੀਵਨ ਬਤੀਤ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ. ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਪੂਰੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਜਦ ਕਿਸੇ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਨੂੰ ਸਜੇ ਹੋਏ ਘਰ 'ਚ ਬਦਲਿਆ ਜਾਵੇ. ਨਵੇਂ ਘਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫਰੇਮਿੰਗ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਫਿਨਿਸ਼ਿੰਗ ਤੱਕ, ਡ੍ਰੇਪਰੀ, ਪੇਂਟਿੰਗਸ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਡੈਕੋਰੇਸ਼ਨ, ਅਸੈਸਰੀਜ਼ ਤੱਕ, ਤੁਸੀਂ SK ਹੋਮ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨਸ ਦੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਸਰਵਿਸਿਜ਼ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਸੁਪਨਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਹਕੀਕਤ 'ਚ ਬਦਲ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ. ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਕਰੋ ਸੰਦੀਪ ਕੌਰ 6048259295.
ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸਮੈਨ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਪਿਆਰ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਕੀ ਵਜ੍ਹਾ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ? ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਮੋਟਰਸ ਦੇ ਓਨਰ ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਨੂੰ ਵੇਖ ਕੇ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਸਮਝ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਇੰਟੈਲੀਜੈਂਸ ਦਾ ਉਦਾਹਰਨ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕਾਰ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਖ ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਮੋਟਰਸ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਨੇ ਸਰੀ ਦਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਟਰੱਕ ਸੈਂਟਰ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲੋੜ ਦੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੋੜੀਂਦੇ ਟਰੱਕਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਗਾਈਡੈਂਸ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਸਪੇਸ ਮੋਡੀਫਿਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਫਿਊਲ ਐਫੀਸ਼ੀਐਂਸੀ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਧਿਆਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਸੁਖੀ ਬਾਟ ਟਰੱਕ ਸੈਂਟਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਟਰੱਕਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਟੌਰ।
ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਫਿਰ ਆਪ ਸਭ ਦਾ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਵਿੱਚ। ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੱਕ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਇਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ AMC ਇੰਸ਼ੋਰੈਂਸ ਦੇ ਸਹਿਯੋਗ ਨਾਲ। If you're looking for home, auto, travel, business, life or recreational insurance, they have 9 branches in the lower mainland to serve you and they're open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. onwards till 9 p.m. For more information, call 604-507-6666 604-507-6666। ਸਾਡੇ ਅਗਲੇ ਸਹਿਯੋਗੀ ਹਨ ਅਗਨੀਹੋਤਰੀ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਕੰਸਲਟਿੰਗ। If you are on temporary status here, you want to be a PR, you are new to Canada, you want to come to Canada, you are an international student, you want to know about the process of citizenship requirements, hire foreign workers or sponsor parents or grandparents, you can be helped by Neera Agnihotri, who has been serving since 2006 as a certified immigration consultant. For honest and reliable information, call her at 604-597-2284 604-597-2284. Our guests today are Dr. Arun Garg from Canada Indian Network Society and Ritika Kalra, who is a professional who has an Ayurvedic degree and also she's a nutritionist also. And what we are talking about today is very important. And as Dr. Garg always points out, that this is not rocket science. If we bring about those lifestyle changes, we can become in charge of our health. And then from all the issues and challenges that we face in our health, we can conquer those. So let's get back to both our guests and continue with the discussion. And before I get over to Dr. Garg, Ritika ji, if you can tell me that why today, as we have discussed before in the two segments, why do you feel that today there is more requirement of this integrative approach than before?
For sure. I think more than ever, it is time that we integrate all these different pathies and all the different approaches because of the times that we live in. I think all of us have lived at least 2 years of pandemic lifestyle here. It has become a lifestyle, unfortunately. And coming out of it after post-pandemic, I think हम सबको एक PTSD रहेगा, एक पोस्ट ट्रॉमेटिक स्ट्रेस डिसऑर्डर। हम सबके लिए कुछ ना कुछ स्ट्रेसफुल रहा है, या डायरेक्टली या इनडायरेक्टली, टुवर्ड्स अस और टुवर्ड्स द लव्ड वंस दैट वीव लॉस्ट। And this is going to be having a very big impact on the mental health across the globe. जहाँ WHO ने कहा था 42 to 48% having mental health issues has gone beyond 50% already. And none of the pathies will focus on this integrated approach, keeping in mind the mental aspect. I think जो बहुत important है हमें address करना, या तो आपके खान पान से, या तो आपके stress level से, या तो yoga meditation से. So all of this will be related like a multidisciplinary to have this approach, and which is where we need two things to keep in mind. The two golden words that I would love to say is, one is consistency towards your own health, consistency towards doing the right things, right time, every day, consistently. Health is not just a destination, but it's a journey. Every day has to be a health journey towards a better version of yourself. And that's the main goal that I want to spread over here. And the second point that I would love to focus here is your discipline. It's not easy to lead a disciplined life, for sure. चाहे वो सोना 9 बजे है, चाहे वो खाना टाइम पे है, या चाहे वो खाना सही टाइम पे है, right? So it's two things which is very important: consistency and discipline, which is where I want to bring support to the society to help them take this path towards their health as a journey and to cherish those small wins for a bigger picture.
Wonderful. Dr. Garg, you seem to be very excited. The conference is just around the corner. So please tell us in details about this conference as to what all is happening in this conference.
Thank you. Before I do that, I was really very pleased to hear Ritika ji talk about sahi khana, sahi time par, sahi tarike se. I think those are wonderful words, and I think I'm going to incorporate that in my language. Sahi khana, sahi tarike se, sahi time per sahi, right? Okay, so the conference is in June 18th and 19th. Uh, it's a virtual conference, so people can learn what we have to talk about right from their home. And it's 8:30 to 12:30 in the morning, so it's a limited day. Uh, this year's conference is a joint conference with our sister organization, GAPIO, Global Association of Physicians of Indian Origin. So we are very delighted that we are co-hosting this conference along with GAPIO. And on Saturday morning, the theme is women's health, lowering the barriers for better health. And we have Dr. Lisa Dawson uh, from Cancer Agency and Dr. Neeta uh, uh, Balwani from India uh, as our co-chairs, and they will be leading us through the panel of about 8 or 9 speakers. And some of the topics are um, all based on women's health, but more on the barriers for women health in our society and how to lower these, though they apply to everybody, but more important from South Asian lens or South Asian perspective. So we'll be hearing and from Dr. Dawson about cancer and lowering of cancer. We'll be hearing from Dr. Gina on infectious diseases and lowering of those. We'll be hearing from Fraser Health Group on what they're doing, excuse me, on South Asian health and how community can be more engaged. So very practical topics which will be of interest. And conference is open to everybody, even though there will be clinicians and leaders, but its main purpose is to engage the community. So आपके जो listeners and viewers हैं इस वक्त, if they want, they could register on our website and www.cins.org. Then we'll be talking about gestational diabetes, we'll be talking about COVID and the barriers it has created for women's health. We'll be talking about leadership and women's health. So all in all, on Saturday, in a very fast pace, people will learn quite a bit. And I think it's very, hopefully they will find it useful, and we'll love to have as many people. All they need to do is register on our website. Registration is open on www.thecins.org. Sunday is very unique and it's quite appropriate for today's discussion. Dr. Nagendra will be bringing message, what is the integrative care? As you know, he's our partner and collaborator, and we are working with him to increase the practical ways of community capacity in integrative thinking. So we will have message from the Secretary of Ayush from India, because in India there is a big movement to integrate this in a more formalized way. So hopefully we will hear what India is doing, and then Dr. Nagendra. And then we have a very special guest, a patient who will be sharing her own experience, how this approach of body, mind, and intellect help us in overcoming pain. So I think that will be a very unique experience, so should be of great interest. So that session is on Sunday, June 19th from 8:30 to 12:30. And again, registration is open for that. Then we are going to have 5 practitioners, medical practitioners from local, who have incorporated integrative thinking in their practice. So we'll be bringing that. Now I'm thinking down the road we will have more specific roundtables where we will bring other practitioners like Ritika ji and other practitioners of traditional Chinese medicine, along with allopathy or modern medicine together, to see where we could increase that capacity. Again, the emphasis is fusion of the best, of East and West. And then to cap it off, our final segment will be experience a joint project with Indian Summerfest, where artist as a healer, because in medicine we have a concept of cure, we have a disease, but there is also bigger part of healing. How do you heal yourself? How your mind, body, and intellect comes together, and so that will be the last session on Sunday. So all in all, I think we have put together a very good program. Very excited about it, and hopefully it will be supported by the community and our listeners. We've been sharing with them a lot of this information, and as I said, if I could say it again, registration is open. Please do register. Registration is required. Pre-registration is complimentary. There is no charge, both for Saturday and Sunday, 8:30 to 12:30. www.cins.org, and they can also get us if they just Google us on Canada India Network Society. Our website will come and they could register.
Excellent. Not hopefully, definitely it is going to be a great success, because the panel of speakers you have brought are international reputed persons, and definitely the information they're going to give is going to be very, very informative. Thank you very much, Dr. Garg. And while we are heading towards conclusion of this program and time is just ticking by, Ritika ji, if from this talk what we have said, if there is one takeout message which you would like to give to many people, when they listen, they get inspired to these things, but then they say where to start, because everywhere we are finding that if health is being affected, so the first thing in the morning we do is, gulp of coffee or tea or whatever it is to make us fresh, and we get up. So if there is one take which you would like to give, that please start from here, what would be that?
I think you could start from anywhere. Trust me, whatever feels good to you, you could start anywhere and everywhere. Taking small steps towards a bigger picture is what's important, and staying consistent towards it is important. If you are looking at getting up early at 5 a.m., you start from evening at 7 p.m. If you're thinking to getting up or sleeping at 8 p.m., making sure your dinner is taken at least 2 hours before, which is maximum. जो हमारा digestion maximum होता है is up till 7 p.m. So really following the circadian rhythm जिसको हम कहते हैं, of your getting up on time and sleeping on time, which is important. You could start from as simple as drinking 8 cups of water a day, or you could just start from simple, just breathing deep every now and then, and reminding of yourself of how beautiful this life is only if you are aware of its beauty, and that will happen only if you enjoy the slowness.
Very true. And Dr. Garg, anything in conclusion?
No, I think it's wonderful. Thank you very much, and thank you, Ritika ji, for joining us. Hopefully we will carry this forward. And again, for listeners, please do look at our program, and please register on our website, because this is once a year kind of affair. So, and it's part of International Day of Yoga, and it's being hosted in conjunction with Council General, and part of the international celebration of International Week of Yoga. So I think all in all, the purpose is to build the capacity and empower the individuals in their own right to have a healthy living. So I think that's the vision and the mission of the conference.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dr. Garg, and Ritika ji, thank you very much for your time, and hopefully we'll have many more programs to talk about better health in future. Thank you to both of you. ਸੋ ਇਹ ਸਨ ਸਾਡੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਅਰੁਣ ਗਰਗ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਰਿਤਿਕਾ ਕਾਲਰਾ ਜੀ, ਅਤੇ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਗਰਗ ਨੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਹੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, because many times we do not get this kind of opportunity to listen to top stalwarts in their fields, and especially the integrative approach what we have talked about today. So June 18th and 19th, please mark your calendars from 8:30 a.m. onwards, but for that you have to pre-register. So please go to thecins.org, thecins.org, and please register for these 2 days of the conference. And of course, as Dr. Garg mentioned, it's free of cost. Do take advantage of this. ਇਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਜੀ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਸਮਾਪਤੀ। ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਸਾਥ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ ਮੰਡੇ ਟੂ ਫਰਾਈਡੇ ਸ਼ਾਮ ਦੇ 6 ਵਜੇ ਪੈਸੀਫਿਕ ਸਟੈਂਡਰਡ ਟਾਈਮ ਦੇ ਮੁਤਾਬਿਕ। ਜੇਕਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦਾ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਬਣਨਾ ਚਾਹੋ, ਔਰ ਇਫ ਯੂ ਨੋ ਸਮਵਨ who can educate us, inspire us, or empower us, please do get in touch with me through WhatsApp 604-603-7555, and anywhere in the world you can contact me, or you can email me at harpreetsingshow@gmail.com. ਇੱਥੇ ਲੈਣਾ ਆ ਗਿਆ, ਫਿਰ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ. Have a safe evening, stay healthy and enjoy yourself, and hope to see all of you on June the 18th and 19th at thecins.org, where you're going to pre-register and be a part of this conference. Thank you very much. Have a safe evening and enjoy yourself.